they're all doing down there. Be careful. Nobody get lost in the corn maze, please. I don't want to get lost in the corn maze.
I love that corn maze. I don't care what anybody in the whole world has to say about the corn maze.
I don't want to have to tie string to pull anybody out.
So, first off, I was digging around in here, not because I was really trying to get much tilled up, but I wanted to see what the soil was like. And it turns out the soil on the hillside is very poor, but Mike happened to notice that as soon as he hit the flat, there is a fair amount of actual good compost. Someone's put a lot of stuff in the soil. There's like potash and mushroom compost in the flat part, all right? So I'd like to, for now, leave the terraces, although I would plow it if we had the tractor running, and I would start putting compost, started putting manure in it. I built a composting bin today that's an efficient one, and that's for another conversation. But I'd like to start.
The manure had a fly issue, somebody said?
It's another conversation. Yeah. I just want to say that it's there. We'll use it for the house stuff now, but we'll talk about that another time. This soil is good. The tree is no joke of a problem. I mean, that's our level, and pretty much right here is like our, from here that way we can do something with it at this point. I bet you we could grow a couple of crops of lettuce even in this, but then it's going to get dark. It's not going to thrive. It's going to be all right. And if we make some cold frames, and if we do rows instead of the circles, cold frames really can sit right on top of the rows. It's cheap, it's easy, and super effective. And then what I thought about for deer, right, which are no joke, they make this stuff, it's bird netting, and it's just plastic mesh. It's 7 foot by 25 foot long. It's relatively cheap. It's $13 a package last time I bought some. For $150, we can fence in the whole thing for deer. It's not a lifetime fence, but it's certainly good for a year or 2 or 3, depending on the UV rays. And that would need to happen in the relative future, because even this buckwheat and stuff, they'll be here. Like what's out there is not near as good as what's here, and it's only going to get worse for them. So even if you're going to just keep this, we'll need to circle that or whatever with something. I mean, if we had dedicated, I'd go and start cutting branches and making a pole fence and rustic. But because I'm surprised they haven't eaten more of it already. I think they just haven't found it yet. Once they find it, it's going to be.
We've chased them out here a few times. I know Hex has chased
So
them out
my
a lot.
question to you then is, are you interested or think that the keyholes are salvageable?
Well, here's another thing that's hard to say, right? A lot of the things that are planted in here you can't grow this time of year. Like say corn, for example. It's just not possible for the corn to grow up in the amount of time that's left in the growing season to get an ear of corn from it. It's not, there's no way. Even if the corn was this tall, you couldn't do it. It's just not possible. Pumpkins, squash, even if it was planted a month ago, even if it was planted 2 months ago, it's too late in the season. They need heat and sun to produce. Tomatoes, any of the nightshades, potatoes, eggplant. It's got to be established. These are springtime crops, right? So anything that says potatoes, we're like, that's almost all buckwheat there. Buckwheat's not very, it produces a seed that's like a diamond. It's just hard as rock. It's an excellent cover crop.
That's what it is, a cover crop.
It's excellent cover crop.
Did Bella share with you her design with these crop circles?
No. Well, yes.
I'm just curious.
Fine line, baby. Fine line.
Yeah.
We could show you the paper and what's in them.
I really don't like being insulting, is what I'm trying to say here. And what I'm saying is a lot of things are planted here that, like, cover crops are planted when it's not your growing season. Does that make sense? So if you have a growing season, you plant there, and then when it's cold in the winter and you can't grow anything, you plant your cover crops. So we don't need space in cover crops right now, like clover and buckwheat, that could be growing food for us. I'll even take one further, right? We're here for a year, 2, 3, right? This is fertile soil. We don't have to plant no cover crops. We don't even have to put anything in this soil for 2 or 3 years because it's not going to be depleted. All right. Also, this is a tiny area. Cover crops are for fields. You can't afford to put manure on 10 acres, so you plant clover, right? We got cow manure. We got all sorts of stuff. We're gonna have enough compost from our kitchen to cover this space and everything we could possibly want to keep it fertile without having to cover crop. I'm not saying rotation isn't valuable. Rotation will have to happen. You can't plant tomatoes the same place every year, right? But that's different from soil fertility. Right? Okay, so this is my, not trying to be mean or cutting to anyone, but that's how I garden, you know. So anything that they can't be food value. We have about 2 acres under cultivation, but we till with pigs.
Is that a quarter?
I'd say more than a quarter. I'd say between a quarter and a half.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, so moving forward.
Yes.
And I spoke to you a little bit ago. You said it would be possible for us to transplant,
Yes.
which means remove what's growing and fertile here right now in the keyholes.
That's right.
Taking them out of the garden momentarily, tilling all of this,
That's
and
right.
putting them back in.
That's right.
Can you give me a time frame as to how long that would take?
Well, here's the thing, right? It doesn't have to happen right now. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Like, I'm still working on potting things up. I'd like to get a lot of things established. Does that make sense? And we need to get the tractor going. I would visualize tilling in a week.
Okay.
You see, the bigger the plants are, for most plants, corn and stuff doesn't transplant well, but we're not worried about that. Root crops, lettuces, all those things transplant well, the bigger they are.
So what I understand then is we need the tractor tiller for this land.
Yes, you have to have a mold board plow or a subsoiler, to at least break this up. Is my perspective on the soil. We could certainly run a tiller over it and you'll get 3 inches.
And you're estimating that the cost to fix that is
$15.
okay, as opposed to the $200 that it would cost for us to.
That
to
will do an
rectify behind.
ineffective job.
Okay.
We don't need to do either of those. Honest to God, I would prefer to use us together working in here. We can leave all these exactly as they are. We can do round the edges. These pathways are ginormous, and I have no issue with that. I have no issue with just tilling this part, right? But whatever's going to bring the group together the most.
Did that break up?
We did this in like less than an hour.
In an hour.
But when you got to the flat, you said it was easier, or?
It's not that it's easier. It's just that it's a different type of soil.
It's a different type of soil.
Yeah.
Also, Diane said part of the things that are for sale are some more tilling tools in her used part, and she said she had some tips to soften the soil because she farms in this area.
Great, I'd love any, because
So
I'm not from
that's
here.
just
Tell Diane
another
to bring a
thing.
couple of high heels over here and we can walk around.
So she specifically said that she has some insight into
I'd
softening the
love
soil.
to get some
Well,
tips
if we
on
were going to decide to do the transplant option, I want to do it with the tractor. I don't want to have you guys out here doing it by hand, no matter how many tools we have. It's counterproductive to me, especially when we can fix the tractor for $15.
We can get out of the sun.
Huh?
So we can move out of the sun.
Okay, let's go.
It's
do
right
that.
there. I'm from Portland.
Does that thing hook to the tractor?
Yes, that's a
our
disc.
plow.
Yeah.
That first you mold board plow and then you disc. Usually,
What is a mold board?
That thing over there is a horse-drawn mold board plow.
So we have that in our possession.
We have it right there.
Okay.
Can't hook that sumbitch up to honey.
That's true.
Is that a possibility?
We can make neck yokes for them, but dairy cows are not built for drafting.
We're kidding.
Oxen are.
I
gonna
wasn't
happen.
really
We
getting
could
it.
hook them up to you.
Okay.
So
I
in
had
the
draft
interest
horses
of moving
before.
this forward then, we have 2 options. We can table this for now, and we can talk to Diane and see what our options are. And we can also price the
Rotor.
rotor and what have you.
And I bet you I can get it going without. I bet I get a piece of copper wire in there. I bet I get it going. We need gas and a battery. And a $20 solar panel.
And that battery is supposed to have
Battery's gone.
That battery.
Well, let's talk about
I
this
gave
then.
some to charge.
Yeah, so it should come back charged. I'd still want the
Hopefully.
solar panel for $20. I
Let's
do.
talk about this then really quickly. Originally, we were just going to keep the keyholes till the flat that's the negative space that's left. That's our one option. Obviously, that's going to stay free of charge. Or we have the second option, which is to transplant and use the tractor when it's priced and fixed. Is anyone... I think we're still kind of ill-informed to make a vote, but does anyone want to voice which one they're kind of leaning towards right now?
I from the beginning wanted to till over everything and start.
To me, it changes the energy.
Are we all
I like
confident
the idea
then?
of
Are
unifying
we
the
confident
group
enough to make a
from a
vote then?
new slate.
Well, the only thing I would want to do is maybe, like in the morning for half an hour, I don't mind manually tilling until we
I
get
have
the
no
tractor
problem. I was going to
going.
say, we can obviously keep manually tilling until that's fixed.
Yep.
My question is, are we going to do the transplant method and remove the keyholes? Is my question.
Well, We don't have to vote on it now until we get the tractor, right?
Let's think about it.
Yeah,
Everyone
I mean,
chew
we
on
can
it.
think about it, but remember that that's something we do have to
I
think
like
about.
what you said about changing the energy.
Yeah, I like.
I also
everyone
want to
starting
mention
at
this,
the
okay?
same
And I'm
sleep.
serious about this. If Bella is adamant against it, I don't want to do it because it's going to be bitterness for months afterwards, and I would rather work around and I mean, I hate to give in to tyranny, but in this case, I would rather work around.
We do have a solution for that, though.
I didn't think about that. Anyway, just throwing it out there. Like, I like harmony in the group way more than getting stuff done.
Yeah.
Personally. Yeah. And there's plenty of ground here to work.
I just want to make sure whatever decision we come to, that it's actually we're going
Executed,
there.
yeah.
Because this has been kind of like we've been battling back and forth with this, and I don't like to sound like it's got to be one way or the other, but at this point, you guys, I really want it to be one way or the other.
We could also think about it, wait to see what Diane says. In the meantime, if the
We're
guys
going
want
to
to
do that.
chill.
But I'm just saying, as far as the keyhole guys, like, let's either just do it or not do it.
Right.
This whole, like, moving it around and, like, going around it, it just kind of gets,
have
like...
a plan and
Yeah.
execute it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so do keep that in mind that, not to sound like I don't care about her feelings, but we are transplanting. We're not getting, it's really just the shape of the garden. I want her to understand that we're not just going, and like going over and completely disregarding what she has to say, but at the same time,
You want us to till those motherfuckers.
I do. But seriously, I want us to just like get this over with.
Yes, I understand.
It's been going back and forth, and so I think at the point now, we'll talk about money later. But what I want everybody to think about is keeping the key gardens or not keeping the key gardens is what we have to address now. Okay.
But
Let's have
from
another
your
group meeting.
opinion, transplanting when they're a little bigger would be good enough.
Yes,
Okay.
I think we'll save most of them.
Okay.
And most of what's in there is cover crops. There's things we can't eat. Is watermelons. There's nothing going to happen.
So from a logical point of view, it would be best to get rid of the keyholes. It's not
The
feeling.
only thing that's against us is the time of year. That is going already. It's a month ahead, which is no joke in the growing season. But there's not very much that's actual food that will produce in
Right.
there. So we're backing up a little. We'll do everything we can to save anything that's already. I don't know how it'll transplant here. This is not my bioregion.
I think that's a compromise. I'm okay with it.
Well, so let's do this, Cal. You and I tomorrow, when we have the internet, we will really get started on fixing that tractor.
Great.
Go ahead.
You know,
Do we have lettuce and stuff to plant? Or do we need to buy seeds?
we have pretty much no seed for lettuce.
Right.
And we need a lot, because here's how it works, right? I plant lettuce, and then a week later, I plant the next bed of lettuce. And then a week later, I plant the next bed of lettuce.
Right.
And then as it grows, we eat
And
it.
Bella
as
did
it goes
also
along.
say that we could have her seeds. I don't know if that offer's still going to stand once we say that we're probably not going to keep the key gardens. But that's another thing that you
I went
and-
through her
and-
seeds last night.
Okay.
Everything that I need is gone.
Okay.
For springtime, she has so many seeds. She's got corn, she's got beans, she's got squash, she's got things we'll need in the springtime. But we don't need it now.
So tonight, will you do me a favor and write a list of seeds that you're looking
Okay.
to put in the garden once it's tilled and it's ready?
I mean, you probably have them at the feed
And then in
store.
terms of
You probably sell them at the feed store.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll ask him what he thinks is going to be
That-
best. And then I've done a little research too. I'll see if they're synonymous to what I saw.
So
Another
next
option, just still staying on the seeds topic, if we're going to bring it up to 100 to barter, we can ask her to pick them up for us, and it can be a part of the barter price.
Yeah, that'd
That's
be
true.
cool.
So
Diane
that's
would be really helpful in
that's
that.
just another option.
Okay, so then we'll talk to her tomorrow too. But make
Wanna
sure,
roll down
Cal,
the
if you
hill?
would tonight, have a list of things we're asking
Yeah.
for
Don't
feel
seeds,
bad
and then
about running
Nikki
the
and I will
corn
bring
over
them to
'cause it
Diane and see if we can make that part of the $100 barter.
We can make a cap and rotor part of the barter.
I can make that one run if we have a battery, I bet you.
Oh, I don't doubt it, but instead of like rigging it,
Yeah.
we can just add that
Have
in.
a proper one.
It's not going to be much.
Yeah,
Even
that's what I
if it's
thought.
even if it's just the rotor,
That's what I thought.
you know,
It's not
I mean,
much.
it's probably going to come together.
Yeah.
So, Cal, will you then make me a list of things we need for the tractor to have it running and seeds you want to see in the ground tonight? And then I'll present it to Diane and see if we can get that brought up to $100.
Yeah, there's a couple other things I would like to,
Whatever you think is going to be necessary.
The fencing. I'd love to get the fencing. I would really love to get a book on Mediterranean, Southern California growing, because